Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Club Codex. For those of you returning, thanks for coming back. And for you new viewers, thanks for joining us. Today we've got some really hot news for you. Some exciting alpha is going to be released during this very show. And if you've been following us for a while, you're definitely going to want to stick around to find out what this is. It's probably the question that's been at the top of your mind the last 6 months. But we're also going to talk about kind of the state of the field here going to the new year. It seems like AI agents are really eating up the meme coin market share, and we're going to kind of get into why, whether or not this is good or bad. Are they just going to be as vaporous as meme coins were? After all, you are what you eat. So stick around, folks. It's going to be a great one, and I'll see you in the show.
Got that CDX token, we the ones chosen. Every stake, every year, while I stay coding. Codex Club, AI not focused, it's an anthem. CDX got them frozen.
Hello, Charles, below me. Hello, Beavis, to my right, maybe my left, I don't know. Next to me here. Again, CEO Beavis, analyst Charles, how you guys doing today?
Doing good, hanging in there. I didn't have lunch, and I was later than ever to the stream. Makes you think.
That's true. It's over. This guy's running on empty. What about you, Charles? Did you enjoy a nice lunch? Are you ready for the show?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm struggling to readjust to my usual time zone, and so my days are like starting super late, and then I'm just like working late, and the sun is setting at like 4 p.m. And so it's a bit of a struggle. It's always a bit of a struggle after like the holidays. But yeah, I'm gonna go to bed early tonight, hopefully. And I just shoved some leftover sushi in my face really quickly, and then hopped on.
Oh yeah.
So my friends and I made sushi last night. It was really good. Highly recommend.
Wow, you made it yourself. You sliced up the raw fish and rolled it up yourself with a little mat.
Yeah, baby.
That sounds like fun, actually. Was it fun?
It's a great time.
That's very cute.
Awesome. Glad to hear you're having a good time down up there, Charles, in the frozen north. Yeah, how was the I mean, did we talk about the holidays last time? I think this is the second one of the year, isn't it? Our second show? No, we didn't. We're rounding the new year. Did you guys make a lot of money? Were you guys paying a lot of attention to the markets over the holidays? Because things have switched up quite a bit, and if you were properly positioned, you might be sitting on something pretty nice right now, right? Virtuals up. AI up.
I mean,
Tony
like
Tony.
Yeah. I've just been sitting on my precious Tony coins. Problem solved.
From soft.
Yeah, likewise.
Dark Souls? What are we talking about?
No, problem solved.
Problem solved.
Yeah, you don't need to trade if you engage in
Tony behavior.
Tony-based activities. Yeah,
that's right. If you just follow that walrus, he will lead you to the fish. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right.
Because yeah, I mean, I could pull it up here. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about this. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this on the show, but Tony has
launched meme coin, dude.
Tony has been, I mean, popping off lately.
When was the last time you saw like a 30x launched live on stream? Totally fair distribution. I
don't think ever in my life.
What is that wick though?
Jesus.
Yeah, this I don't know. I don't know what kind of market manipulation this was.
That's the Kyber swap router wick.
Now, what does that mean? Explain. What is the Kyber swap router wick? You mean Kyber swap did a bad trade?
Kyber swap. If you use Kyber swap to trade meme coins, it's really bad at routing through these lower cap tokens. So a lot of times, like we see people put in $10,000 orders and then it routes them through a pool with like $50 of liquidity. So yeah, brutal. It's very painful.
So be careful there when you're swapping through Tony.
I didn't even know Tony was on CoinMarketCap. That's pretty cool.
Is he?
Well, it's just that there. I don't think that's probably the best chart either, to be honest. But
do it.
But you got
the scale was wrong. It just looked flat. Come on, bro. I thought you were a chart wizard. I thought you stared at all day.
I use Gecko Terminal.
When I use Tony, when I'm looking at Tony, to be honest, I'm not really looking at the chart. I kind of just going off the vibes.
Yeah.
Because my life and blood is in this, right? My skin is in the game. The price doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna die if it goes to zero anyway. So I've got to just. It doesn't really
purely
matter.
vibrational.
But yeah,
Every
this
time
is
someone sells Tony, it hurts me physically. One
Mhm.
atom of my body is destroyed. And considering there are 100 billion Tonys, if there's enough trading volume, I'll probably completely disintegrate.
Explode into a nebulous cloud.
Disintegrate. Yeah, so this is I mean, this is a better illustration here than that whack ass coin market cap chart of Tony just going up and to the right, and it looks good formation. But this is similar to, just what's been going on with AI agents everywhere here, right?
Yeah.
You're positioned well. Everything AI is doing fantastic, isn't it?
Virtual's lifting the market up on its shoulders.
Oh yeah, I mean it's what's getting all the hype right now, right?
Yeah.
But I want to talk about, this kind of transition that's happening, because what we kind of saw was memes, right? Was first up, was really blowing up. But now we're here. This is where we are now. AI big, and we kind of had this transitionary period where AI tokens. I mean, actually, let's go even further back. Like a year ago, people were talking about AI crypto big time. I remember that was a strong narrative in the bear market. But also a lot of FUD, people saying it doesn't really mix. Andre Cronje infamously said they don't work together. It doesn't make any sense to use them together, at least in regards to DeFi.
And now his best friend, Daniele,
Yes.
is
Yes, and another
profiting
massively
off of his
successful
wrongness.
one.
I mean, I think at that time people were talking about using blockchain to like train LLMs, which is like absolutely dog shit stupid. But I think like, I mean, we've been talking about this for years. It's like the determinism of the blockchain is the absolute best execution environment for crypto or for AI rather. You have the observability and you have the execution capabilities, the perfect venue for action. And we're seeing more and more of that. Like I think it'll just keep compounding. AI and crypto isn't going away.
So what we've seen is this narrative evolve then pretty much, right? Into the stage now that the market really, it's either the capital flows are here, so it's just latching onto it, or the market's actually responding to this current pairing of AI tech and DeFi or
I mean,
blockchain
I think
stuff.
What we're seeing now is the first iota of understanding and awareness that people don't know exactly how AI and crypto are going to work together. But broadly, I think we're seeing the retail audience understand that they can work together.
I think this is a good picture for him today.
Dude, he's shilling IOTA right now.
Me?
Get out.
Yeah, get out of here. Never again, okay? No, I'm kidding. But I think we can paint a pretty good picture. Like you're saying, Beavis, I think what we've had, right, is for a while people have been throwing stuff on the canvas, throwing paint on the canvas, but the picture is starting to emerge. And I think more and more people are seeing it, which is why we're seeing the movement into AI tokens recently. It took some work to get there, some hand-holding. We had to walk through the valley of just slapping AI on something and being like, okay, it trades through AI or whatever.
I mean, people are investing millions of dollars into chatbots with $5 million of liquidity. So
that is that's the kind of comparison I want to draw here. So we had the intermediary phase between then and now, where you just had a chat bot, hooked it up to Twitter, and that was and it was a meme token essentially, but it has an AI attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Major moment here in crypto, and I had a lot of blowback. I think a lot of people being like, what's the point of this token? It's just a chat bot on Twitter. Just who needs this? Who wants this?
I have been enjoying a lot of the discourse, to put it lightly, on Twitter. I'm loving I'm loving the criticism. It definitely, like, I feel like everybody who is paying attention and who's like discerning or who's like thinking critically is genuinely bullish on like a proper usage of AI and crypto, but is trying to curb all of the basically like the AI moon boys who are like, this is literally going to solve world hunger. And this chat bot that just like tweets is like the internet too. And it's like, okay. But I feel like I have been enjoying a lot of the like fiery convos around people getting too bullish and then smart people shitting on them.
And
it's
the
fun to
smart
see.
people are going to make no money is the long and
And
short of it.
yeah,
And they don't have enough
That's-
AI exposure, you know?
yeah, totally.
It's like,
I
you know,
believe
It's
the
early meme days, like literally just
yeah, it's like, oh,
repeated.
this isn't as good as our insert, you know, vaporware.
Yeah.
Uh, Our vaporware is much more academically rigorous than your vaporware. But it is what it is. Like you need to respect the pump is what you need to do. You know?
My
And
my intuition, Justin, tell me if this is like totally wrong, but with like how things are right now is like for developers, there are like huge strides being made for like developer access to actually useful AI tools. On the user side, or like the the basic, not developer, not technical front end user, it's still pretty primitive. And like we're at a stage where like developers are seeing a lot of tools and are seeing a lot of growth,
yeah,
and like advancements, but they haven't really made their way to like actually interesting, like more than chatbot use cases for like your average Joe.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I would say that 100%. Like there are more developer tools, but in the Web 2 world, a lot of these developer tools have existed. And I think what we're seeing right now is they're achieving a level of abstraction as they relate to crypto that, you know, things are starting to percolate. And I think what's more important than that by far, because the Moon SDK has existed for 2.5, 3 years. Like people could have been creating, you know, financial AI agents, chatbots, whatever, with Moon. And the issue is like there wasn't the same market opportunity or perceived market opportunity as there is now. So, you know, really like the prevalence of ELIZA to me is not a function of here's ELIZA. It's the best thing ever. It's great. Now developers can use it because developers could have used a myriad of tools anyway. But instead, to me, it's here's ELIZA, your way to capitalize on the AI hype. And that's the reason people are excited because they see the money flowing, they see the opportunity. And, you know, why do you become a software engineer? You know, most of the times it's because, hey, on one hand, it's like a pretty good job. You know, you can metaphorically, figuratively work with your hands. You can create, you can design, you can do some of the, you know, more interesting, you know, primitives to scratch the human itch in the back of your head. But, you know, really, we're in it for the money. You know, we're in software to a certain extent because it's a great living, and you can love it, you can adore it, you can appreciate it. But at the end of the day, developers are going to follow opportunity. Very rarely are they going to do anything for free, unless it's like anime related. And then, you
So
know, you've got
so that kind of phase I'm talking about where we have the AI chatbot just slapped on a meme coin. Is this kind of not the justification, the proof that the thesis previously that meme coins are going to onboard people, it's going to bring in the money, it's going to bring in the market, it's somewhat true here, right?
100%.
Like the volatility of memes, and then just you had to kind of do a bait and switch with people where it's like, here's the memes so you can get your crazy price upside, and then slowly swapping it out before their very eyes for AI to get them the taste for it is kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, as markets mature, like people are always going to have to get better and better and better and outcompete, get better tech, get better at, you know, building community, get better distribution. And eventually it's going to be hard for new entrants to kind of compete in the space because the biggest, strongest players are just going to dominate. And memes allow you to circumvent that to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, you know, it's always like, we're going to make a wallet. We're going to make a this. We're going to make a that. We're going to do a hackathon, whatever. That's always the end state, no matter how hard we try to resist it. You know, we're going to get a Coinbase listing. There always has to be some degree of utility, some next thing for people to look forward to. And what AI coins give us is they give us a much clearer kind of roadmap and growth pattern where, you know, sure, this is just a chat bot, you know, it's a lightweight GPT wrapper, whatever. But long term, it's pretty easy to see how these things can grow and mature. And now you have I think AI XBT is like the perfect, showcase of these agents being able to secure mind share, which is more valuable than most technical utility in this space. He's sitting at what, 60% mind share for AI agents and like 20, 30% for crypto Twitter overall. That's valuable. That's hugely valuable. Like imagine being able to, bottle up Ansom's secret sauce during the peak of the meme craze and sell it. I mean, that's essentially what WIF was to a certain extent. And so you can see kind of the commercial viability of these things, even if there's not a way to monetize. At the end of the day, it's like it makes a little more sense than meme coins for what, in my opinion, is a more discerning customer. That's why you see it popping off on Base, because it's a lot of Americans who are going to have a really hard time justifying a meme coin purchase. But even if an AI coin is functionally the same thing, it's like, oh, here's some technical implement or technical primitive that I can see expanding and see having some sort of fundamental value, even if a lot of it is smoke and mirrors.
See,
we can't. There's not enough stuff going on in the market for people to be making the most mature, intelligent investments yet.
So it really comes back to price action being the best marketing tool, really.
Oh yeah.
So in a way, these two are kind of linked, but it seems like AI might be kind of moving past this. There was a tweet, I think Charles was talking about this, where a lot of smart people critiquing memes placed in the market. I think VX Cozy was the biggest one. He was just dunking on AI stuff all the time. Truth Terminal is not an agent. It's controlled by a man in a Discord. He's pointing out that this is the case for a lot of AI shit posters, and even in the best case, it's just a shit posting bot.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point? And why does it need a token? And the simple answer is because no one cares if it doesn't have a token. No one cares if there's no token correlated.
Yeah.
They're not going to look. They don't care.
They want the upside.
They want the upside.
It's why you see a lot of the bigger AI companies that are pre-market not really get the same attention, because the attention economy wants immediate upside. And if VCs have eaten up all the upside, who gives a shit, and the attention game, AI is winning. And the thing is, like, people will cycle to something new in, 2, 3, 4 months. I don't know what that'll be, but it's just like, influencers versus VCs versus retail, the constant, battle to the death. So we're just seeing it play out.
So
what I'm excited for, and I hope I hope the AI cycle is a super cycle, in that people are shifting to like more advanced use cases of AI.
Yeah.
From the previous one. Like memes are like obviously the first use case of anything.
Yeah.
And like we're kind of seeing the meme cycle, but I'm hoping, like, and I think a lot of like, mid curves like myself are just excited, sitting crying sidelined, but excited for I'm not sidelined, I'm kidding.
You better not be sidelined, dude. I thought we took that blood pact.
But yeah, just like sitting and waiting for like, when can I actually automate transactions with AI to the level that is like actually saving me time, and not just like, this is a cool thing that it just actually, it takes the same amount of time as it did, or it's like even more complicated, but it's cool. But like, is actually saving me time, is actually properly executing, and like, is actually taking some of the DeFi, load off of me.
I think you're right, Charles. I think it can be a parallel can be drawn to kind of how we saw the excitement around ChatGPT and its releases. If you remember, with AI, kind of the first like user feature kind of thing that people were really playing around with a lot, that was getting a lot of traction, was image generation, right? Which I would put on par with like memes, shit posting. Like, it's just like for a laugh. There's not a lot of real use case in most people's daily workflows that people are going to get really excited for it. Yeah. And then over time, when we saw ChatGPT, Claude, things really blow up, was when people were like, I can dump a bunch of data in this and it spits out a chart. I can dump in a bunch of tweets and it gives me a summary. I can this is a guy saying I could drop Aristotle in here, and it's like I read Aristotle, right, in 30 minutes. So you get a lot of these evolving use cases that are a lot more useful for people in terms of isolating data and easily digesting it. But similarly to crypto, I think, and I'm gonna draw a strange parallel here, maybe. That would be like meme coins are the first one, NFTs, art, that kind of crap. And then we get into like the actual useful stuff that'll make people's daily workflows a little bit easier. How you can start to see how people might actually use this daily.
Yeah.
But similar, there was a lot of blowback for the AI art, wasn't there? There was a lot of people being like, this is pointless. It's just jamming up. People were like, it's burning down the rainforest to make like a picture of Sonic drinking a Coca-Cola. It's, useless. And also a lot of real artists were saying like, this is just taking food out of my baby's mouth, right? So there was kind of like a negative, some negative attention garnered from that. And I think similarly, originating in memes, there's some negativity associated with AI where there's this assertion that it's kind of like vaporware. It's not really going to be useful. And so where we are now, I think, and it's starting to happen, is the flip in this narrative to agents, right? We want to be less like, this is an AI token to this is an AI agent that happens to have a token. The reason why is agents are actually kind of useful. These are the things that can actually do useful things. Am I on base here? Do you guys agree with this assertion that we're kind of like in a pivot point here? Or do you think we've already passed it? Do you think this is the last? You think we've got a lot more people to really bring in the fold here?
No, I mean, I think you're right. It is a lot of people that were sidelined in the meme coin universe are now dabbling in AI. And I think we'll see a lot of meme stuff rotate to AI and vice versa. I mean, there's a lot of money being made, but I mean, what I really think will happen is something like what Charles was describing, where we see this like with DeFi, with everything. People are going to dive in head first because there's money being made. There's money to be made. Coins are ripping. There's not really enough time for due diligence. People are going to dive in, and once they buy in, they have a vested interest. They're going to actually start learning about AI. They're going to learn about how LLMs work. They're going to learn, what are they good for? What aren't they good for? And they're going to start developing their own theses. And, I think a lot of these memes, especially the ones that aren't getting the attention, aren't going to fit these theses. I think we see AI XBT. There are like Fresa and REI and some other really interesting ones. I forget what they're all called. No, not theses. I think they're going to stick around because they have mind share. Yeah. Like the point of a chatbot is to have mind share. You want the most people using it, the most people looking at it, engaging with it, and justifying the use of compute. So a lot will die, and I think capital will rotate to more legitimate use cases. And as these things mature, like money will always flow, and companies will always consolidate into like who has the best distribution, who has the best unit economics, who has the best tech. And we saw it with DeFi, and DeFi, when it first started out, people were aping into food coins nonstop. There wasn't a lot of legitimate things to invest in. So you saw these huge explosive opportunities, valuations, et cetera. But over time, people started to learn. They paid their tuition, as we've talked about commonly on here. They've gotten rugged a couple times. They understand, maybe these assets need to be productive to actually warrant the incentives or the yields of the emission. And now we're at a point where, DeFi companies are just valued based on their discounted cash flow, like a normal company. And we will get there with AI. And it's really just a matter of 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And we're going to see who's actually making money and who's just burning it. And I think we're going to see there's a lot of tech that's kind of masquerading, that's maybe burning a lot of compute to dazzle people, excite people, whatever. Mm-hmm. We need to figure out how to make that productive. And to me, finance is one of the few, and I'm talking about Web 2 and Web 3. I think finance is one of the few use cases where every single dollar of compute you burn, you can very easily generate enough value or generate enough margin to make it worthwhile. And I think like the same with, content creation, if it's in the hands of a sophisticated operator, That's the important thing. It needs to be truly useful in an economy.
Yeah.
That's
Plus finance, if done properly, if it works, if it's safe, if it's like running smoothly, is one of the applications of AI where no one is going to have a problem with like AI taking on more and more of the like the workload. Like the reason that people had problems, or like, you know, normies, usually older people, are like, you know, AI stresses them out because there's like, it's taking over some sort of creative element of like, you know, human behavior. It's like art, you know, writing scripts, whatever, like some sort of artistic expression from someone.
It's
is being
mocking
lost.
creativity, you know, it's mocking the human condition.
But where finance is involved, it's like no one, it's literally just like, let's move some numbers around. It's like, let's be as efficient as possible. There's very little, you know, creativity involved unless you're designing some like cool financial primitives. And there's, you know, there's creativity involved, but I think you get what I'm saying. Where people just like, this is going to make it easier and better. I don't want to think about finance. Let's just, you know, let's do this.
Definitely. I think there is definitely, that's a really strong point in that the value add for finance is definitely the clearest, strongest one. There's probably going to be the least amount of
pushback,
resistance. The only resistance would be probably, you know, trust. Can I trust this thing to do a good job? As opposed to the problem with, you know, creative AIs, you know, ones making stories or whatever, where it is like a direct attack on a lot of what people consider their own humanity, right? Like the idea of like an art is something that I create from my emotions for you to consume, as opposed to just an image that has been made by like a computer, right?
Yeah.
It's like the difference between like, you know, why would I want an AI to write my diary for me, right? Like that's not the point of my doing that. But the point of me trading stocks is to make money. So I don't really give a shit if it's an AI doing it. You know, I don't care who's doing it as long as it's working for me.
Yeah. And I think like, you know, we've talked about this, you know, off the air extensively, you know, in an economy where the whole goal is, you know, that output exceeds input, or that some kind of productive end goal is being met, using AI or automating everything just makes a lot of sense. It improves outcomes for everyone because everyone can be coordinated effectively and would essentially be working toward the same goal. And obviously, like the nature of finance means there will be a lot of adversarial players. But I think for the most part, it would be a net positive. You know, AI is not going to turn everybody into like a prop trader or a high frequency trader or a market maker or whatever. But the thing is, like, there are very few firms that are actually doing their job successfully, you know, and the rest of them are just relying on, in crypto especially, tricking people into giving them free tokens, and swinging their bags around, and trading on leverage that a normal person wouldn't have access to. So yeah, it to me, I think like everybody's going to get behind AI powered finance, even if they hate AI and every other aspect of life. It's like, it just makes sense for the normal person.
I'm waiting for the AI is enabling money laundering and drug smuggling.
Oh God.
You've got these agents laundering all this money.
Dude, that would be a compliance nightmare for us. That would be like, oh God. No, I
feel like the Tornado Cash lawsuit almost kind of supports the idea that that's not really possible, right? I mean, the AI agent is just a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone can maybe make it do that, then
I don't think an AI agent, unless you train a model from the ground up, I don't think an AI agent is going to be capable of doing crime without very explicit prompting and direction and like, you know, hacking, frankly.
I mean, try to get an AI to make a rude joke.
Tony works in waste management. All right.
Yeah. Tony, big Tony.
Big Tony works in waste management, and he just so happens to find a lot of money on the ground.
That's right.
So I wanted to reference this post here by Jeff. It's Yeah, we can make an agent based. I mean, you can make an agent based off tool here soon,
Yeah,
Taylor.
Taylor,
We'll talk about that in a minute. Keep that in mind. This post by Jeff here, he's talking about the on-chain capabilities of AI agents in regards to the DeFi narrative. I wanted to point this out. He posted this, I think, in December, late December, pointing out a few of the on-chain capabilities AI agents have now: tipping, launching tokens, burning token supply, buying and selling assets. And he was saying in December we'd start seeing these things, and I think we kind of already are moving in this direction. And this is kind of where the value comes. When we've always talked about the simplicity of the user experience, right? How important that is. And this is where AI agents are going to take the more complex, annoying parts of using DeFi and actually turning them into something that is usable and flat and smooth for a normal person. Spot, perpetual trading, lending and borrowing, liquidity provision, and staking. Now, I haven't used any AI agents that are capable of any of this quite yet.
Tony's the only spot trader, I think, in the business.
Wow, that's crazy. So Tony's already checked off 1 out of like 6 of these, but he's progressing in that direction.
Yeah. There's a lot of agents that are basically just like pressing buy and sell. That was after we already had like limit orders and stuff with Tony. So I think we're pretty well ahead of the curve. And you know, like right now, what we're building on top of Tony and for like the create an agent tool that we're working on is a reinforcement training framework, so that we can actually figure out what makes a good trade and what makes a bad trade in the context of AI. Because right now, everybody, you know, technically speaking, knows how to make a good trade and how to make a bad trade. But you need to remember that, you know, AI represents a brand new paradigm. And what makes a good trading strategy for an AI agent might not necessarily be the same for a human operator. So like really the goal is, you know, we want to be able to onboard thousands of agents and then just use that as data input so we can look at their P&L and figure out what's the context, what are the prompts, what are the models, et cetera, that produce the absolute best outcomes. And that data, to me, like that insight is just going to be worth a trillion, gazillion, quadrillion, dectillion dollars. So yeah, position accordingly.
We can become ever closer to Charles's lauded rational actor in economics if this continues to develop, right? These AI agents can become truly rational actors in the field of finance. Is this true, Charles? Will this then then we can actually have use for these economic theories?
Only until we all have our own robot going around and living our lives for us, and we're just, it's like you know, Wall-E, you know, when they're all just sitting, like we'll just be remote controlling our own robots. We'll just be sleeping. We'll be in stasis, and we'll all have our own robots going around living our lives. And
all of us,
then
while in stasis, will be playing Minecraft using our subconscious in the world's biggest quantum computer powered Minecraft server.
Yeah, and all delegating our ETH to Tony's validator node.
Now we're talking.
That's
because Tony at that point will own a good chunk of the universe. And to Edgar's point, he said resurrect Reaper as an AI agent. And if there's anybody new, Reaper was the first app we made on the Phantom network.
Camera died.
And it was a yield aggregator. So the whole point is we made it as easy as possible to farm yield. And about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, probably closer to 2 years ago, you know, DeFi had started to mature. The unit economics of our business changed drastically. We were looking at the cost to develop, you know, a Reaper strategy or Reaper Vault. And at the time, we had already started building out the AI tooling. And we just said, you know what, like AI is going to make all this shit obsolete anyway. So that was the point where we stopped investing time and energy into Reaper and started investing more time and energy into the AI solution. And now in the next month or two, you're going to be able to execute similar strategies that would have cost us $100,000 to develop on Reaper using Codex AI totally brainlessly.
Wow.
And I was telling this to the Yearn guys. I was telling this to the Beefy guys. I was like, fellas, AI is going to put us all out of work.
Yeah, we got to get the DeFi Dojo in on this. We got to get Sensei to weigh in on this. How he's going to use how the strategies might be replacing his job here soon. These AI agents, or maybe it'll just make his job easier. You know.
Yeah, we need to get the calculator guy just uploaded. You know, we need to get him just a direct feed from spreadsheet to Codex AI training data.
Yeah, dude, Steven as an AI agent would be sick.
And then our agents are just going to be doing the most complex, insane shit ever to collect 0.04 cents on an arb trade with annualized 185 quadrillion APR.
That's right, dude. I'm loving this. I love this idea here, and I'm curious to keep exploring it, but I want to add one last abstract question here just to pad out the length of the show a little bit here. Charles was joking about Wall-E style living, you know, where the AI is kind of your agent is just doing everything for you. Do you think that'd be ever something people are actually comfortable with, where their AI is controlling their spending habits even? Do you think that'd be something if we got to this advanced point of an AI agentic trader on your behalf, managing your finances, saying, yeah, sorry, bro, you can't afford that this week. You can't afford that this month.
I mean, budgeting and taxes are a total no-brainer. Like
will people actually follow the budget is the question.
Yeah. But from day one, we've been building like with the idea that if you're using Codex, your taxes are going to be easy as shit. You know, because all the data we're using to train this AI, you know, give this AI context, whatever, you know, do the reinforcement learning, all of it applies P&L wise to your taxes at the end of the year. So imagine if you could press one button and just all your taxes are done because you used Codex the whole year. And in terms of how people expose themselves to financial markets with AI, to me, like I see it, at least in the interim, kind of like how we thought about crypto in the early days, where it was like, you know, 5 years ago, if you were really edgy, you would have 1% of your portfolio in Bitcoin or 2% or 5%. And obviously there will be evangelists that are like, all in, I love the AI. But when it comes to managing a portfolio at scale, I think there is like a certain element of, you know, diversification into these AI powered technologies. And we see that there are like a lot of AI, you know, quant ETFs that use machine learning, and all of them kind of are mediocre. But especially if you want exposure to these markets that are insane, like for example, a meme coin market. You know, if you, when 100 tokens will live and die, you know, go 10x and minus 100% while you're sleeping. What better way than that level of automation to expose yourself? And to an institution, exposing yourself to mid cap or even high cap altcoins is kind of the same deal. It's like you want the exposure, but you want to make sure it's managed. And you can't, you know, all the time just have a trader be awake 24/7. Even if you have the office in, you know, San Francisco, London, Singapore, it could be helpful to have agents in the portfolio. And then they'll also be operating objectively and not always what you want. Like a lot of traders are really creative, but very useful in my opinion.
Right on. Yeah, I agree. I think they are quite useful. I kind of like Taylor's here's confidence that people will be happy to hit a button and never worry about their finances again. They'd press it. Getting close to that point, be it a very bizarre world. I think it's hard to imagine, isn't it?
I like the idea of having an agent that can operate across like basically the internet, and you can like fund its wallet, and then you go, okay, like book me. I think Samson and I were talking about this a long time ago, where it's like, book me a month-long trip in Japan. I want to go here, 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 and here. Book all the things, like buy a ticket, get me housing and all that stuff, and you just like fund it with a certain amount of money, and it just does things on your behalf. I would be comfortable with that. I don't think I'd be comfortable with like it controls my bank account. Like, you know what I mean? I think,
I mean, there are things you fund, you know, it's like
allowance for,
it's an account with a brain, and these agents can even negotiate on your behalf, you know? And in a world where everybody has a lower and lower attention span and higher anxiety, and people would take on, insane costs just to not have to fricking pick up the phone. I think these agents will increasingly kind of become intertwined with daily life. And
that really resonated with me when you said they don't have to pick up the phone, because I'm familiar with these Gen Alpha. They hate picking up the phone. This is what I've learned about them.
Oh, dude.
They're scared of it. So this is actually a huge market sector we could tap in. That's every single person coming up.
We need to get every child in the world before like the age of 20 needs to spend 6 to 12 months in a call center.
No, they don't.
I believe
we need them on the AI chatbot, dude. We need them chat with an AI to figure out what they need to do, which is what they're doing already.
Yeah.
My girlfriend was in the library. She was doing homework for college, writing her senior essay. She told me these two guys, juniors in history, they were working on their history project, and they were just like, where should we start? And the guy was like, well, I've got ChatGPT Pro. Let me just handle it. And he just started typing, and the other guy just started playing games on his phone, and they were done in an hour and they left.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of the direction we're heading. Taylor Hill says, we'll get a fully autonomous economy ran by agents, and then people will just have a credit score to manage as they exercise their freedoms and liberties to travel and consume. Interesting idea, especially if we consider we're going to put all these bankers and loan officers and mutual fund managers out of business here with these agents as well. That's the goal. That's
I mean, what does like a post-scarcity or like, techno-feudalist UBI type economy look like in a world where the economy can truly be like modeled, and then those models can be applied directly to, a swarm of agents that represent, the world economy. It basically gives us a way to turn theory into practice to a certain extent. But I think that's a long ways off. Not only do LLMs need to get better and more cost effective, but I think the world economy needs to get a little more efficient. Like we can produce, but I think, getting, the items we produce into consumers' hands such that it doesn't like cause world wars, I think is something we're still working on.
It's important factor to consider is that what we're doing is not going to cause a world war.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been pretty good. We've been talking fairly abstractly about a lot of these things. We made some specifics, but let's talk a little bit more about what we're doing with our AI. Look, I've had special access to an early form of the Codex token white paper. And one thing that I've been noticing a lot is you mentioned something called, where is it here? The economic layer of AI. What does this mean? What can you tell us about the Codex token? Why do people care? Why does it even need it with these AI agents? Let's get into it, dude. This is alpha people want to know.
Whoa.
Yeah, totally. You want to give it a try, Charles?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Curious.
Yeah, so
it's not like you, Charles.
Well, yeah, I'll give it a try. I was looking at something else. So
what were you looking at
during
our show?
Heck,
what were you looking at, dude?
I'll let you guys kick it off.
This guy's a freaking gooner, dude. I see him in glasses. Reflected.
Yeah, I'm actually sleeping.
That's awesome. So yeah, basically, like we've been sitting down and thinking a lot about the CDX token, and obviously, like we want it to exist ASAP, but more so, we want it to be useful long term. We look at tokens like ETH, and their ability to kind of coordinate and secure these massive economic networks, and we just think if we're going to be, if the pie in the sky vision is to be the agentic economy, the network that powers agentic finance, more than finance, economic interaction with AI, then what does that look like? Who are the actors involved, and how can this token be used to ensure that everything being done within the network is for the net benefit of the economy? And so we've been thinking like, how do we, model the economy? How do we think of imports, compute and data? Our goal is to have a useful enough economy, or a useful enough set of agents that we can take data and compute and produce on the other end something useful enough or valuable enough to pay for that data and compute. So thinking about it just like we would, like, what is our GDP per capita? How much revenue can each of these agents produce? It's the unit economics of the business, and to a greater extent, the overall health of the economy. And obviously, like, we're on Aerodrome every week, looking at the VE33, looking at how people are managing these incentives, and looking at Ethereum, looking at proof of stake, looking at slashing. Can we use these systems? Can we unite these systems to, one, coordinate? So, on Aerodrome, just as an example, someone places an incentive on a pool. Users will swarm around that pool, get in, and start farming the yield. And that is basically someone saying, I want liquidity here. I have enough money to generate demand to create liquidity here. And obviously, there are a lot of issues with the system. There are a lot of questions as to its sustainability, et cetera. But in terms of coordinating these huge, giga swarms, these, millions of agents potentially, the only way to do it effectively is with incentives. Unless I'm talking out my butt, Charles, but like, I can't imagine being able to do it any other way. So if your export, for example, is insight or automation or attention, being, your insight is process data. So I'm going to take this raw data set, I'm going to turn it into something useful. I can sell that on the other end. And a lot of where we see that is selling it to users. For example, I'm using to create an agent tool. I'm launching an agent, and then I'm going to pay some fee for that agent to trade on this insight. It's being processed. I'm paying for the compute and the data. And on the other side, I should see enough upside to win the trade. And with attention, for example, hey, I'm a network. I'm Berachain. I'm launching my big network. I want to make sure every single one of my posts is seen by everybody in the world. I want, algo optimization, whatever. I'm going to put a bounty or put a job out for agents to swarm around this post, engage meaningfully, and help promote it in the algorithm. And that is, money in, result out, and that valuable result should ideally allow them to capture enough attention to monetize and sell some tokens or do whatever they want to do, achieve a degree of market penetration. And what better way to do that than with the same incentive mechanisms that we use in DeFi? And what way to ensure someone is pushing good data into the training set, pushing good data to the system, or incentivizing things that are beneficial to the economy, e.g., net output is greater than net input for the given action. What better way to do that than like POS slashing? Like, oh, hey, you push some shitty data. Well, here, I'll take some of your CDX tokens and use it to pay out people that were affected. Oh, you're having us do unproductive shit. Well, I'll take some of your CDX tokens and pay down the compute.
Okay. Real quick, I have a question here from the Discord I want to highlight. We don't really highlight the Discord questions enough. From Louis Hu, I think it's a Chinese name, Louis Hu.
Beast.
Can you elaborate on the value proposition and utility for Codex and Big Tony tokens? Will there be an interaction?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we're thinking about a lot right now. We, like, all of us love Tony, and I think about the relationship a lot like the relationship between Per and Hype. If you know about Per, it was the first kind of meme coin launched on Hyperliquid. It was how they showed off their token standard. That's kind of where we're working from right now. And Tony, for us, is always going to be the most advanced AI agent in the world. And the reason for that is we're using it as a proving grounds for some of our tech. So if you look at Tony's D-Bank, for example, 2 to 4 weeks ago, maybe like look at it from a month and a half ago when he first started trading, you'll see he had a lot of transactions failing. And then over time, you'll see he started getting better and better and better, more profitable, more profitable, more profitable. And that to us is Tony's main use case, being he is going to be the way we test out new functionality. So every time Tony is doing something crazy, let's say we push, some new generative capabilities to Tony. The idea is that a month or two later, us having battle tested that technology with Tony, you'll see it available with Codex. And then obviously, when I see someone holding Tony, I'm like, that's part of the game, you know? So we're always thinking about how these two entities can interact. And
Is
so
there
that's
s-
kind of where we're at right now.
So is there something here to so like Tony's like kind of like a harbinger, right? The front runner in the vanguard of AI agents associated with Codex. So could you say that it's almost like kind of like an example, like for people that are interested in launching their own agents, of like this is how you would do it. This is kind of what it would look like in one way or another with
Yeah.
Codex.
Yeah, exactly. And, Tony, I want to always be like cutting edge. That's kind of our litmus test. Like, are we ahead of the market? Is Tony doing shit? And right now we're focused on the back end. We're focused on the trading. I think like AI XBT is a way better poster than Tony. Way better at farming engagement, farming attention. But in terms of pure functionality, is Tony leading the market in the stuff he's doing? I mean, right now I would say yes. And the goal is for us, like, if Tony is not leading the market, then we need to refocus on our agentic capabilities as opposed to the infrastructure that powers them. And that to me is like kind of how we're leading the development. And right now, Tony's pretty comfy. People are just learning how to do swaps or whatever with agents. People are just starting to learn how to do some of the analysis we've been doing for a couple months. So next upgrade, we'll just leap another couple months ahead and have some breathing room. But the goal is for Tony to kind of be the shining light. Like, hey, you want your agent to be this profitable. You want your agent to have these types of memories and this type of reinforcement. And then as we kind of flesh out the reinforcement framework for Codex, and imagine, if you will, us learning from 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 agents. Every one of their winning trades, every one of their losing trades, we're analyzing, figure out why they won or lost, and improving the trading capabilities over time. To me, it's like, there's no better showcase. So probably what we'll do is, once the reinforcement framework is finished, we'll give Tony some new wallets that aren't polluted by all the Tony tokens and CDX. And then we'll just start showcasing different strategies. And we'll let users kind of leverage those strategies or experience those strategies. And the thing is, like, if the swarm starts winning all its trades, then it's either you join the swarm or you die. And that's the purpose with Codex. Like, we want to have the smartest trading agents in the world, period, such that if you are a user and you don't join the swarm, if you aren't using an agent to trade whatever token, do whatever, then you lose. And that's how we build mass, and that's how we build a moat. And that to us is like, that's $1 trillion proposition, and that's the pie in the sky. And just think of Tony as the man at the tip of the spear leading the charge.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
So Taylor Hill asked a good question here. So can AI developers barter intelligence with CDX?
Yeah, I mean, we've coined this concept that may change in name or whatever, but called config, being here's my model, here's my prompt, here's my context, and here's my strategy overall. And we're going to let people trade that config. We want to kind of standardize this such that you can essentially own your agent. And if you have a configuration that you're like, hey, this shit slaps at trading in this particular niche, because if we're doing these reinforcement algorithms broadly, like, we'll have, like, here's the Codex boilerplate, but you might have some shit that just totally cooks with certain types of tokens or on certain networks, and you can monetize that and sell that. So we really want to highly incentivize people to get creative with how they develop their agent, and all of it's no code. So if you have a brain, you can create these agents and you can create novel trading strategies. And that's the ultimate mission.
Is it kind of like almost like an app store for agents? Like, I have I'm thinking of it like staff, right? I'm running a household. I got a staff and I got a bunch of different specialties, and I'm pulling on agents to handle specific things. So maybe I'm paying for the Reaper agent because I like using its auto compounding strategies that it specializes in.
Yeah.
Or I want Big Tony because I like Memecoins trading strategies, and this agent is specialized in them, that kind of thing. So you might have a custom setup that's different from someone else.
Totally. And essentially, like, what you're paying Codex for our goal is to make sure the economy is right and tight and has all the tools it needs to succeed. But what we would be purveying is new functionality. We would be giving you the power to do more and more things that might cost more in terms of compute or in terms of data, with the intention that you will see more upside on the other end to warrant the expenditure. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll need an AI agent for the taxes. I think that'll mostly be, maybe a little bit of machine learning and typical sorting algorithms. But a lot of the functionality, maybe you do want a yield farming strategy or a perps trading strategy, or you want an agent to be able to hedge something for you. That will probably longer term need to be kind of fine tuned. So the ultimate goal is to be able to take some of these pre-trained models like GPT and train them to suit certain use cases, which is pretty pricey, but a long-term goal for us. Wherein everything you might want to do, we'll have a well-trained kind of big model to help you out with it.
Yeah. And I guess just to tie a small bow on the token question, the problem that we're solving, or the questions that we're asking, is how do we insert the token into the economy in such a way that it improves like the efficiency and like lubricates the system, and like the relationship between the data and the agents, and then the users and the agents, and the like creators of the agents, if that makes sense. Taking lessons from like network tokenomics, and then like popular DeFi tokenomics like gauges and things like this. So I know that's pretty vague, but just wait for the white paper, and all the specifics are being kind of like fleshed out now.
I mean,
so
yeah, our goal is to
It's
get on the board
exciting.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Should we launch CDX live on an episode of Club Codex?
Oh my god.
That could be interesting too. I think that's a good
That'd be
idea. I
pretty
think
sick.
the people might love that. We might get some hype for that. Now, without shooting ourselves in the foot here with too hard of a deadline, though, when will we be doing that? Next couple months? Next year?
100 years.
Definitely not next year.
100 years from now.
I mean, we're optimizing for as soon as humanly possible. If we can get it out before February, that's dope. If we can get it out early February, that's dope. To us, it's kind of like there's a lot of excitement for AI right now, and we want to be able to give people the opportunity to have a piece. And for us, it's like how can we give everybody that wants it exposure? How can we give our community exposure? How can we do this, that, the other? How can we make sure Tony holders have skin in the game, etc.? Those are the things we're thinking about right now. And yeah, I mean, I think like if we can really nail the economic layer for AI as like a product, which would require having a really productive economy, period. But if we can nail that, I think the upside is absolutely enormous, long term.
So
Yeah.
I'm loving this, dude. I'm loving that we're taking the time to make sure that this is properly engineered, and we've got a much clearer idea of where this ecosystem is headed. So we're coming up at the end of the show here. We'll hit the hour mark on my clock. So at this point, I think we got a call to action for our viewers here, which, by the way, thank you for sticking with us through the whole show. If you've been here, we hope you found this quite interesting. I think we touched on some pretty good topics here that should help you kind of orient yourself in this space, even if you don't want anything to do with Codex, but we hope you do, because we're cooking up something special here. Please go ahead and, drop a like, comment, whatever on this video, wherever you're watching it. We usually do a giveaway here at the end of the episode, but I don't have the names for the wheel yet. So if you're watching this in the Discord, go ahead and drop at Corval in the Club Codex chat so I can add your name to the wheel, and I'll hop in there right after this and spin that bad boy for you. And we will be sure to give, our content creators some love too, through the Codex account after the show. You'll know you're a winner when I retweet your message. So Thank you all so much. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully we'll have something even hotter for you next week, right? Some more details on the CDX token, maybe more Big Tony talk. But if there's anything you want us to talk about also, just let us know. Reach out to us. Let's get some dialogue going with the people here, guys, to the Club Codex account. All right.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Any last words, Charles, Beavis?
If you don't own Tony coins, you're going to get paid a visit. That's all I got to say.
Right on, brother.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Tony for president.
Until next time, folks. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.
Got that CDX token, we the ones chosen.